this guy. No, this guy. Actually, this guy. This guy? They're all the same guy. This guy's only gone and done it. He's beat my race to Mr. Snowman record, so we're gonna have to go back and reclaim it. I mean, he only beat it by 5 seconds. How hard can it be?
Hey! Comms check. Bureau. Hold off. Okay. Where to now? Okay. Where to now?
The valley, head towards them. So across the valley, head towards them.
Where to now?
Those lights across the valley, head towards. Espinosa promises it will change the world. Espinosa promises it will change the world. And most of Solis believes no more tornadoes or hurricanes. And most of Solis believes him. That hand.
We've come face to face before. Heading up.
No more tornadoes or hurricanes. And most of Solis believes him.
So the previous record was 8 minutes 31, and I suggested at the time that it was going to be hard to beat without new strategies, and along comes Louis. Louis? Is it Louis? Louis. Along comes Louis, the Brazilian speedrunner, and he smashes my record by 5 seconds using a new strategy where instead of procuring a helicopter, he gets a fucking jet and flies all the way to Mr. Snowman. So we're gonna have to do that. He also used grenades to knock down the doors to get to the generators, which is actually a lot quicker, so we'll be doing that as well. Anyway, the run starts off the same as before, where we try and get towards this little wall as quickly as possible, jump over the wall and get down towards this train as quick as we can so that we can get onto the jet and then fly up towards the first sort of checkpoint where we're going to have to stand around and wait for a bar to go down. But before we get there, we've got some time to save by flying up this hill as quick as possible. I say hill, it's actually a fucking mountain. The big mountain. There are so many things that can go wrong with this strategy. Half the time the jet isn't even on the train because it falls off for some reason. I don't even know why. And then you've got flying up here. There's helicopters and planes that can intercept you and just knock you off course. Anyway, we get to the little checkpoint here, hit the console, and then bang, we've got a huge bar of progress to wait on. This takes several minutes for it to go up, and there's nothing we can do at the moment or we know of to speed up this process. It's just a matter of standing around, collecting some ammo and not dying. Personally, the only thing I focus on here is trying to get a full grenade loadout on the default weapon. And the main reason for that is I've noticed that there can be a glitch in the next section where your weapons are available and it actually resets to default, where you've only got the default weapon, this rifle here. You don't have any of the subsequent weapons that you might have collected. And what's more, you don't even have the ammo. Like, I've picked up the SMG before, collected a full ammo loadout and then moved on to the next section only for it to be reset to this rifle and not even having the full grenade loadout, which is critical if you want to use them to access the generators.
Black hand here.
Only about 30 seconds left of this bar filling to go, and then we move on to the next section where we're going to run slowly on foot for a while.
Take your time.
Fun times. What a speed run. So honestly, this isn't actually the best start. We're about 5 or 6 seconds down on our previous best pace and several seconds down on Louis, who's actually ahead of us currently. But there's still 2 or 3 sections to go where we can potentially make up time or, well, hopefully not lose time.
All that, and he's at the top of the...
And we're on to the walking section, or the slow jogging section, or the really boring run section where there's not an awful lot that can go right, but oh my god, there's several things that can go terribly wrong. I do not care to divulge how many times I've fallen into the canyon here. It's way too many times for it to be reasonable. Anyway, we're taking as direct a route as we possibly can. We've got the camera slightly swiveled to the side because, well, although I don't think it's objectively faster, it feels faster.
I'm not, but I usually have a parachute.
Sometimes you've got to feel fast to be fast. Anyway, how are we actually doing on times? On the bottom left hand corner we've got my previous record of 8:31. On the bottom right we've got Louis KB at 8:25. Both of them are ahead. It's not looking good.
Shit.
What happened? Everything okay?
Yeah, fine. Black Hand Chopper. That's not good. Empty it out fast.
Half the people leaving here are trying to get away from Espinosa and his Black Hand.
So we've not lost any major time here, but we've not made any up either. And you can see in the bottom right, we've just gone through the door and then Louis has just followed in behind and we're what, still 5-6 seconds behind? So skipping through the cutscene, jumping off early while the screen's black and then getting down into the valley nice and quick so that we can start our reels. I want to get as many of these reels in as possible so that we can get towards the base nice and fast. This flight is a definite area in which you can make or lose time, and I think you can see we're actually making up a little bit of time on Louis, but we're not really making much inroads on our previous record. But we've got the new strategy which starts here, using the barrel on the first door. Then when we've destroyed the generator, we're going to turn around and use a grenade on the second door instead of using the barrel. It's much faster, and as long as we get good RNG with the fallen debris and we can open up the generators, we'll make up some time here.
I'm patched into the Black Hand comms, and they're on their way. Pick up the base hardware.
Something like that. Let's get started.
Okay, Sargento. You're up.
Listo. Here's your mission. The factory needs to be powered on, but the doors to the electrical room are being held shut by backup generators.
Mission accepted, Sargento.
Your AR lens will show you where to look.
It's only a matter of time before Gabriela sends more Black Hand to...
If we check in with the previous runs, we can see we've caught up with my previous record and we've actually overtaken Louis. Only the final section to go and the new strategy to test out. In my previous run in the bottom right hand corner, you'll be able to see that I go for a helicopter and use that to fly to Mr. Snowman. However, Louis figured out that there's a scripted jet that flies overhead, and if you look in the bottom right, you'll see him using his parachute to get some height and then grappling towards it and using that to fly to Mr. Snowman. Well, we used some slicker movement to get into the sky and happen to come across a different jet, but it's the same principle.
Rico, it's me.
So you can see we're getting into the jet now and Louis is still parachuting around waiting for his to arrive, and in my previous record we're in a slow helicopter. Now all we have to do is execute the final dive down towards Mr. Snowman and we should find some level of success. You might notice I'm in a rebel jet whereas Louis is actually in a Black Hand jet. I've kind of done that on purpose because I kept finding every time I stole a Black Hand jet they started chasing me, and holy moly, that can be a bit of a pain flying through the mountains, try to get towards the Snowman with Black Hand on your tail. You might notice that Louis doesn't seem to have Black Hand on his tail. I've done it myself with the Black Hand jet and sometimes they don't chase you down for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but either way I think it's safer to probably grab the Allied jet. The only problem is it flies from you from the other angle, so it's possibly a little bit slower. There might be some time to be made up there. Speaking of making up time, we're ahead of both the previous records at this stage and we're about to dive down out the mountains and head past the tornado and fly towards the tunnel in which we'll finish this run. This final bit is the last opportunity for anything to go wrong, and there is quite a lot that can go wrong. Mr. Snowman is concealed in an underground tunnel complex, so we're going to have to jump out of the jet, dive down a vertical tunnel and then traverse horizontally towards Mr. Snowman. It's by no means an easy feat, and to do it quickly is actually quite difficult, especially when you know that you're on world record pace and this is the final thing that can mess up your run. So this is it, trying to spot the tunnel in god-awful weather with terrible vision. It's coming up here somewhere, it's gotta be. There we go, diving out, getting clipped by the wing, reeling in perfectly but catching the edge of the tunnel, which is just terrible. It means that the fall's really slow. But we managed to wingsuit there and we get towards Mr. Snowman in 8 minutes 17, beating Louis's record, which I'm sure he's going to be sad about. But there's still time to be made up, and I think he can come back. He can maybe beat it. He's working on mouse and keyboard. There's certainly opportunity. I'm on a bloody controller, for goodness sake. It's terrible.